In the world of Berserk, one concept binds everything together, an invisible chain dragging all creatures toward their inevitable destiny, that chain being causality. In Berserk, causality is not merely chance or fate, it is a force intricately woven into the very fabric of existence. Causality is not a mere whim of fate, it is the law by which the world operates. Every action has its reaction, every desire a consequence. To believe one can escape it is laughable. This, of course, begs the question, how far can one man go in the face of an unstoppable force? That is the question that Guts continues to answer, one bloody battle at a time. When you think of someone who's been negatively affected by causality, your mind should immediately jump to Guts. I mean, think about it. From the very day that Guts was born, causality has been trying to screw him over. And every time that causality offered Guts an olive branch of peace in the form of friends and prosperity, it immediately hits the Uno reverse card and says fuck you and proceeds to take all of it away. You could argue that Guts is one of the most tragic victims of causality, and I would agree with you if not for the fact that Guts is still alive, and he continues to overcome every obstacle that causality throws at him. But one person who was undoubtedly fucked by causality was General Boscogn of the Purple Rhino Knights. In the Berserk fandom, there's a controversial sentiment shared amongst a few Berserk fans, this statement being that Griffith did nothing wrong. I would like to apply this same sentiment towards Boscogn, as I believe he did nothing wrong and is an unsung hero of Berserk. Yes, Boscogn was an antagonist, but you can't say he was very antagonistic. From everything we know about him, Boscogn was a skilled general, a strategic mastermind, and a capable warrior. Boscogn believed in military discipline. He was a man of honor, skill, and unwavering loyalty. He fought for his kingdom, even when surrounded by complete incompetence. The fact is, the causality screwed General Boscogn. He was forced to work with a coward and a pedophile. General Boscogn was a man who was caught in the mist of chaos, stupidity, and straight-up incompetence, and I'm here to argue that Boscogn did nothing wrong. So let's begin with the basics. General Boscogn makes his first appearance in the chapter titled Campfire of Dreams. Even from his early conception, you can tell that Miura intentionally depicted this guy as an absolute badass. Boscogn is supposed to represent a skilled general, a master tactician. He was one of the most formidable forces in the entire kingdom. And most importantly, the guy knew what he was doing on the battlefield, as he was easily able to repel the forces of Midland time and time again, which is more than what we can say for some people. Yeah, so you can't talk about General Boscogn without discussing Sir Adon. They're an iconic duo like Batman and Robin. Actually, you know what, Tom and Jerry might be more applicable here. But this aside, Sir Adon is a self-proclaimed strategic genius, but in reality, he is a man so stupid that calling him a liability would be generous. As we all know, Adon is a descendant of the
Korbowitz family. Your old Korbowitz family through the Korbowitz family. Tactics that have been passed down through the Korbowitz family. The awesome power of the Korbowitz family passed down through the Korbowitz family for 1,000 years.
Ah yes, Sir Adon Korbowitz. If there's ever been a character in Berserk that defines talking big and delivering nothing, it's this guy. Throughout Berserk, all Adon does is boast about the prestigious Korbowitz family, which he allegedly claims to have a long and storied history of military service. Now, this might seem odd, but I believe there's a clear reason for why Miura brings up Adon's family name so frequently throughout the manga. And this is to imply to the reader that Adon gained his rank from his noble lineage alone and not his actual skill or competency as a commander. And I believe that Miura did this intentionally to draw a stark contrast between Adon and General Boscogn. Where Adon's family name likely secured him a position of authority, Boscogn, on the other hand, is a general due to his proven skill and leadership. I mean, let's face it guys, Adon in the 1997 anime is a complete comic relief character. The anime goes out of their way to depict this guy in the worst light possible. I mean, they devote a whole filler episode of Adon getting his ass handed to him. Adon is so cowardly that he brags about playing dead on the battlefield and thinks it's some sort of flex. You know, it's not just that Adon is incompetent, it's that he's a liability. His very presence on the battlefield weakens the actual army. And every time that Adon makes another idiotic decision, Boscogn has to come on in and pick up the broken pieces. Case in point.
But Sir Adon! We lost the fort and all our supplies were destroyed!
Silence!
Throughout the series, Adon loses multiple key battles for the Kingdom of Shooter. What could have been quick, efficient victories turn into long, drawn-out conflicts solely because of this idiot. And in the anime, when Adon is confronted with losing battles, he fucking lies to Boscogn's face.
Did you confirm that they were totally destroyed?
Of course I did, my dear General Boscogn.
You buffoon! They are alive, and they occupy the supply base.
When you watch this scene, you gotta wonder, like, what does Adon get out of lying to Boscogn here? Like, does he think that General Boscogn is not gonna figure out that the Band of the Hawk is still alive? You know what, it really doesn't matter because technically this whole scene is filler, but you can imagine the frustration that Boscogn must have felt that every time Adon botched another battle. And let's not forget that when Adon screws up, which he always does, it forces Boscogn to overextend himself. He has to mobilize more troops, change tactics mid-battle, and waste valuable resources to cover Adon's ass. And as somebody who served in the military, I can confidently say that Adon would have been demoted or outright dismissed in any other army, but not here obviously, because Boscogn still shows some discipline by not killing him. But overall, no matter how proficient in battle you are, it's impossible to strategize when your so-called allies are this incompetent. As if Adon's incompetence wasn't enough already, General Boscogn also had to deal with another colossal headache, that being Governor Ganon. Governor Ganon was a lazy, indulgent ruler, more interested in enjoying the spoils of war than actually winning it. Governor Ganon is the classic example of a man completely detached from reality. He's one of the figures who, despite holding power, seems to have no idea about the gravity of the situation around him. I'd like to emphasize that this is a 100-year war, a century of stalemate between the Kingdom of Midland and the Empire of Tudor. The Battle of Doldrey is one of the most pivotal battles in this war, and yet Governor Ganon doesn't seem to give a shit. After Boscogn disciplines Adon for, practically losing the whole war, Ganon tells Boscogn that he's being severe as always. At this point in the story, the Kingdom of Midland is practically breaking down Tudor's front door, and yet Governor Ganon shows indifference. Throughout the story, the wheels of causality have slowly been turning, but it's here that the shit officially hits the fan. Governor Ganon has a proclivity to indulge in disgusting behaviors, to put it lightly. And what's worse of all is that these behaviors aren't just passive, they actually undermined his entire military's ability to function. Long before the Battle of Doldrey, Ganon and Griffith had an encounter which led to a one-night stand. Ganon describes Griffith as a fine wine, so the two probably got up to some freaky shit. But before the Battle of Doldrey begins, Ganon orders Boscogn to keep Griffith alive at all costs. And this has to be one of the most absurd and self-serving decisions in the entire Berserk storyline. This decision shows not only Ganon's personal obsession, but also how his corruption and indulgent desires directly undermined the war effort. Ganon's obsession with Griffith clouds his judgment entirely. His command to keep Griffith alive is rooted not in sound military strategy, but in his desire to relive his past exploitative relationship with Griffith. Simply put, Ganon's infatuation with Griffith causes him to completely lose sight of the bigger picture. He puts his personal desires above his own kingdom's interests. Instead of supporting General Boscogn and ensuring that the army does everything that it can to win, Ganon actively undermines the war effort by protecting the very person leading the enemy's strongest force. And of course, Ganon's partiality towards Griffith leaves Boscogn confused about Ganon's nonsensical orders. He's wondering what the connection is between these two. Imagine being in Boscogn's position. You have to develop a strategy to defeat an incredibly dangerous enemy, but your supervisor, someone who's lounging in a luxury far away, probably touching children, demands that you don't kill the enemy's most dangerous leader. It's not only a frustrating scenario, but also one that places the lives of Boscogn's men at a greater risk. On top of all of this, Ganon continuously disrespects General Boscogn's leadership. For Boscogn, the battlefield is a sacred place where strategy and strength determine the outcome. For Ganon, it was a distant inconvenience. When Ganon sees that Boscogn is doing his job well by winning the battle, he worries for Griffith's safety, and in the middle of the war, he comes out and strips Boscogn of his authority. When Ganon comes out to the battlefield, he essentially takes all of the castle guards with him, and when a foot soldier points out that there will be nobody left to defend the castle, Ganon quite literally says, "Who cares?" The only thing left defending the castle at this point was, oh my god, it's Adon, isn't it? Yup, it's fucking Adon. You might as well just give up the fortress now. But this aside, Ganon's choice to take command away from Boscogn was in every sense an idiotic move, driven by personal obsession and political maneuvering rather than sound military strategy. And the sad thing is, if Ganon hadn't done this, Boscogn would have likely won this war. Boscogn understood the enemy, the terrain, and the strategies needed to win, and most importantly, he had the loyalty and respect of his troops. Conversely, the troops only listen to Ganon because he offers them things of monetary value, such as a promotion or an increase in rank. It's notable that they don't respect him. And now, with Ganon in command of the battlefield and Adon guarding the castle, we enter our final chapter. Despite the fact that Governor Ganon and Sir Adon created a nearly impossible situation for Boscogn, he still held his own. His final duel with Guts was an honorable one, and yes, he did beat Guts, even if it was momentarily. I would argue that at this point in time during the Golden Age arc, Boscogn was stronger than Guts. I mean, sure, you could chalk it up to the sword being broken, but at this point in time, I think Boscogn had far more experience in combat than Guts. In the 97 anime, Boscogn even calls Guts a boy commander, which hints at his lack of experience.
It is over, boy commander.
But in the end, Boscogn's strength and experience didn't matter. He was always fated to lose this battle, because Griffith was destined to succeed. Boscogn was fighting against a power backed by destiny itself. His defeat was always inevitable. The fact is, Griffith's success was preordained by causality. Everything, including the people and the events surrounding the battle, had been manipulated to ensure Griffith's victory. Boscogn won the fight with Guts, but like many others, he was unaware that his actions were being manipulated by larger cosmic forces. From the perspective of Boscogn, he had already won the fight with Guts. Guts was completely disarmed, and all Boscogn had to do was go in for the kill. That is, until Nosferatu Zod walks in, flexes his 30-inch biceps, and proceeds to throw a sword down into your opponent's hands. And in that moment, Boscogn's fate was sealed by the God Hand's machinations. With one swift and decisive blow, General Boscogn was decapitated, and this sent a shockwave throughout the battlefield. Boscogn's death showcases Guts' relentless will, the unpredictability of battle, and how fate and causality work within the Berserk universe. Boscogn's death wasn't just a personal defeat, it marked the turning point of the entire battle. With General Boscogn dead, there was a vacuum in leadership. The previously formidable Tudor forces fell into disarray and were demoralized. This overwhelming loss of faith in leadership led the troops to abandon Ganon, leaving him alone and defenseless. Perhaps he should have listened to Boscogn's plea to instill military discipline. But in the end, Boscogn's life, his military career, and his eventual demise were all a part of the predetermined chain of events designed to lead Griffith towards his destiny. No matter how skilled or honorable he was, Boscogn was always doomed from the start. And this is why, in my opinion, Boscogn did nothing wrong. Hey guys, Shane here. Just wanted to make a quick video on General Boscogn and try to tie it into the fates of causality and Berserk. I very much appreciate General Boscogn's appearance in the Golden Age arc. I definitely think he's an underrated character and one that we really don't think about today. So I think a video on him is very much needed. But if you guys enjoyed the content, subscribing, commenting, or liking the video would be very much appreciated, as it encourages me to make more content, and of course, it supports the channel. But with this said, guys, I wish all of you well, take care, and I'll see you with another video soon.